This is Weekend Winners, proudly brought to you by One Equine for the equine athlete, and there's a whole host of products you can check out with One Equine. We're going to Albion Park Saturday night, 11 races, our first juvenile feature of the year 2025 with the Changeover Classic. That is going to be race number 9 on the card. It's a very intriguing race, so a lot to decipher there as far as the 2-year-olds are concerned. The free-for-all is race number 2. Manila Playboy going for 3 on end, but he's got to overcome a second row draw. The Mares Open is race number 11. That's the last race on the card. Over the mile, Riley Rainbow gets the front row draw advantage. Chinchilla looking to overcome a second row draw. Can she do it? She got her colours lowered last week behind the Sun and the Moon, and that was the fastest time a mare has ever gone at 2,138 metres there last week. So all in all, we're looking forward to this program on Saturday night. It's a good card, and we need the help of Angus, Garrard and Shane Graham. Both have good books here on the weekend. Let's see what they've got to say. Angus Garrard has a busy night on Saturday night. We've got 11 races, first juvenile feature of the season. He's got 9 drives on the 11 race card, and he's with us now. Angus, appreciate the time.
No worries, Chris. Thanks for having me.
It's a good card, and it's a good book of drives you've got here on the weekend.
Yeah, no, it is a really strong card of racing, so it's nice to have a few nice ones there.
All right, first race over the mile, Almighty Max. You know this guy well. He's drawn the inside of the second row. This is not a bad spot to be at Albion Park over the mile.
No, that's right. It is a good spot for him. You know, I think he's racing in career best form his last sort of 4 or 5, so if he races like that again, he should go close.
Looking at this front line, it's going to generate early pressure. It looks like it's going to be a strong tempo throughout.
Yeah, for sure. It certainly looks that way. We just sort of need the right splits at the right time, and I'm sure he's good enough to be there.
Okay. If it's not this weekend, we've just got to keep following because, as you said, he's in career best form. His efforts of late have been really good, so he's just probably needing that barrier draw and that little bit of luck to go his way.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he got the luck there a few runs ago and capitalised on it. So, you know, sectionally he's been really good every time he's stepped out, and I'm sure that'll continue. Okay, race number 2. This is the Open. I'm sure you're excited about this race. Manila Playboy. Here he is chasing 3 on the bounce, and there's been so much to like about his last 2 victories. He looks like he's in career best form right now. Yeah, for sure, for sure. He's sort of the best I've felt him, really. You know, he's just a real killer at the moment. He's travelling awesome and finishing off his races super. So, you know, I'm sure he'll race good again on Saturday night.
Well, tell me this. What was better? What felt better? The win when he was on the front end 2 starts ago, or when you had to use him and he worked hard for the prize last time out?
Look, they were both impressive in their own way, but I really liked the way he dug in last start. You know, he was wide in a really solid first quarter last time out, and you know, still sort of managed to put him away and did it quite well. So I was really pleased with the way he did it. Okay, how does this race set up in your opinion on Saturday night? You're drawn 3 off the second row, middle distance trip. How do you want it to play out? Oh, look, if someone can go and sort of stick it up Tim's a trooper, that'd be ideal, but I don't know whether that'll happen. You know, it's probably a little tricky with sort of the 3 Dixon runners drawn off the front. You know, that they might sort of be able to take control, but you know, our guys racing super, and we can sort of drive him however we need to. We just probably need someone to have a little go at some stage and sort of open it up for us.
That's the key with Manila Playboy. The versatility is there right now, and given that he's in, you know, probably career best form, it gives you options.
Yeah, it certainly does. You know, we know how good he is off cover and how good he can be late, but, you know, the way he is at the moment, if we need to move him, we can move him. So, you know, I'm sort of confident he'll be close. It's just probably dependent on how easy they get it through the first sort of 600 to 800.
Okay, so that looks like it's going to be fairly tactical, the open pace this week. What about race 3? This is the up to NR75 final. You're driving back to Batuta. Gee, was an eye-catcher first up. You would have been happy with him the way he performed that day.
Yeah, he was awesome, Chris. Definitely couldn't have been any better, you know. He was off the track in sub-55 last half and really attacked the line. So, as you say, I couldn't have been any happier with how he was.
Is he a little underrated back to Batuta? Do you think this could be his campaign back to Batuta where he could put a few on end?
Yeah, look, I think he'll really step up this time. You know, he's probably a horse that could do things wrong early, and since we've had him, we've sort of raced him sparingly in a way. You know, we haven't sort of over-raced him, and he's had a couple of nice breaks. So he feels really good at the moment, and he's sort of, manners-wise, he's probably the best he's been. He's settling really good in his races, and you know, I think that'll sort of see him step through the grades quite well this time in.
Okay, this race at the mile on Saturday night. You've got Speed plenty to your inside. Rock Supreme probably looks the leader. Apollo Dream's likely to go forward. Does that leave you in a sticky spot?
Yeah, it is just really tricky, sort of, particularly early in his prep. You know, we probably don't want to use him too hard and sort of cook him at this stage in his preparation. So, you know, ideally he would have drawn one or two closer, and I'd say we're really hard to beat, but I'm just not too sure where we get to from the draw.
They could run a bit of time here too.
Oh, absolutely, and you know, if they burn up hard through the middle and they're sort of staggering late, even if he has to go back sort of a fair way, I wouldn't put it past him to sort of be sprinting over the top.
Okay, we'll keep following him back to Batuta. Win, lose or draw there on the weekend. What about in race 4? You're going to team up with Barella. Where do you think Barella's at right now?
Oh, look, he's a horse that's sort of a bit enigmatic at times, isn't he? You know, he's sort of a horse that can look really good on his day and sort of really ordinary on others. I think he's improving. You know, I've only driven him in those last 2 trials, but I think he's heading in the right direction. I just don't know how fast. So it'll probably be a good sort of gauge for where he's at on Saturday night, and we should just be able to give him a nice soft trip from the draw. So hopefully we can just hit the line there.
Okay, the Dixon stable are going to be hard to beat there. Charge ahead, ironclad.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're both class horses and sort of looking ahead to bigger races.
All right, let's go to race number 5. This is the consolation of the NR75. You're driving Vin Sanity. I've got a theory here. Tell me if I'm wrong. I reckon he's better chasing rather than a leading position for him.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Chris. He's definitely not as good on the front end. He is a really good horse off cover and very fast horse. So the draw probably doesn't hurt him too much.
Yeah, and that sounds strange saying that you know, he's better off cover, because normally in races nowadays, if you can lead, that's the spot you want to be. So for him, though, it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's not to say he can't lead. You know,
yeah.
he can lead and run a good race, but he's probably just that bit more effective coming off cover.
He can still win this despite this draw. This probably, if you get a little bit of luck, could set up really well.
Oh, absolutely. You know, his last run was sort of a little ordinary, but, you know, if you put a line through that, you know, he should have just jogged in 2 starts ago, and the start before that he had nothing go right and ran a massive race. So, you know, you couldn't fault his form before last start, so put a line through that, and I think he's in it up to his eyeballs.
Okay. What about in race 6? Keen to get your thoughts here. Ragazzo Diatilli. 2 runs back. They've been rippers. This is just the wrong draw again for him on the weekend.
Yeah, it's just not ideal, is it? You know, it was sort of a good spot to be last time on the fence, but, you know, we would have liked a more positive draw this time. But in saying that, it could still work out.
Well, I'm keen to get your thoughts on how this race could sort of map here, because Air Express is the class horse. He's a Group 1 winner, but Gate 7 at a mile, you know, you need a bit of class. And then you've got Jamaican Rock, who's low flying, second row draw. So how do you think this race will shake out?
Yeah, it's probably a little hard to work out. You know, Air Express, as you say, he's a classy type, and we know how good he can be, but he's probably not the fully furnished racehorse yet, and I don't think Grant can sort of be sort of too aggressive with him, particularly in the very early stages of the race. So he's probably going to have to work at some stage into the race, and Jamaican Rock's sort of the same. If he's going to want to get handy, he's going to have to work hard at some stage. So hopefully a few in the middle there sort of want to make them work and are happy to make them work, and that can pan out for us.
Okay. Would you say he's come back better than ever, Ragazzo Diatilli?
Yeah, he seems really good, Chris. You know, I can't fault his runs so far. He was home in sub 54 first up, and then last time he was home in, I think, 26.3 or 26.2 himself. So I'm really pleased with him, and it's sort of, there's been nice building runs for him too. You know, we haven't had to kill him, and he's got through the line well, so it's sort of good for him heading into his preparation a bit deeper.
Well, he looks like he's come back in terrific form, and the way he presents, it sort of matches the way he's going. So that's a good drive there, Ragazzo Diatilli. What about in race 7? Brookfield's Beauty, at her best, she's well up to winning a race like this.
Yeah, for sure. And she's probably another one. I think you can just put a bit of a line through her last start. She just got a little hot outside the leader and over the trip it told on her. So, back to her best. I think she's right in it.
Gate 4, how do you sort of play that early?
Oh, look, she's not sort of the fully furnished racehorse yet where we can just sort of push the button, but we'll just sort of see what happens inside us. I'll have a bit of a talk to Shane and see where he thinks she's at. Sort of, if she's ready to go, I think she's good enough that she can press forward and go really close.
Okay. Those two mares to your inside, they're interesting types as well. Loverecious, we've seen her here previously, and Swell Time comes up, and her form lines look okay, so they could prove really hard to beat.
Yeah, for sure, and it is sort of tricky to match up those form lines with those ones to sort of what we've been racing up here, but I guess we'll find out on Saturday night.
Okay, let's go across to the main race, the Changeover Classic. You've picked up the drive here on Ruby Rainbow, and I think this is a really good drive. She's a filly by Captain Crunch. She's prepared by Chantel Turpin and Pete McMullen. Her recent trial was really good. I think this is a potentially really nice filly.
Yeah, she sort of looks that way, doesn't she, Chris? I haven't sort of looked too deep into her trials and sort of educations, but I've just sort of caught glimpses of her at different stages, and she looks to have her fair share of ability.
Okay, who do you think looms as the obvious horse to beat? Won't you stay with me or the stablemate drawn out in 7?
Oh, look, I think the filly's probably hard to beat just from the good draw. I know sort of just talking to Pete and Chantel, they got quite a rap on both of them, so I think probably the draw could be the difference there.
Okay, the last race, the Mares Open. You're driving the Vicar of Dibley. You had the choice between Soap Opera, the Vicar of Dibley. I tell you what, these Mares Opens, whoever gets that barrier draw advantage seems to come out on top. We saw it last week with the Sun and the Moon. So from barrier 2, you're second up. She was terrific first up. How does she line up here?
Yeah, no, I think she'll run a really good race again, Chris. We saw how good she was first up. I think she's sort of taken good improvement out of that. And I think at her best, she goes very close on Saturday night.
Can you lead and then hand over, or do you think you just get crossed at the start easily?
Oh, look, I'd like to think I can get to the fence and sort of be the one following Riley Rainbow. But I guess we'll find out what happens on Saturday night. We've sort of got to manage ourselves early first and see where we lob. But I think if she was on the back of Riley Rainbow, I sort of wouldn't count her out.
Okay, so that's a dream setup, and that will tell you a lot if that sort of scenario plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice little draw for her first time into that grade. So she ran a super race in that Open Mares race when she came home from Sydney last year. So I can't see why she won't sort of match it with him going forward. But it's a nice little race for her to see where she's at on Saturday night.
All right, it's a really solid book. Which one are you most looking forward to?
Oh, look, I can't sort of go past Manila Playboy. He's career best form, and I love driving him, so we'll see how he goes Saturday.
All right, race 2, number 10. As always, Angus, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thanks, Chris.
Shane Graham now joins us to go through his drives on Saturday night and runners, and he's in the hot seat now. Shane, appreciate the time.
Yeah, no worries, Chris.
We start in race 1. You've got the drive here on Hasty Bid. 2 off the second row. He's probably down on form as it stands right now, but can he sort of find some confidence here on the weekend?
Yeah, he's probably racing a tad better than it suggests his form. He's either had bad draws, and when he has had a good draw, he's had a bad trip in running. So, look, he's still needs everything to go his way, but he's probably not going as bad as it looks.
Okay, 2 off the second row. That gives you options. You can either look to drop to the inside and race 3 fence, 4 fence, or hold your spot. And when you look at that front row, there's some genuine tempo there.
Yeah, that's right. To the second line, I think it's always a good draw. It gives you the options which way to go, and you can make your mind up after 100 or so on where you do. So, yeah, it's probably a good draw for him.
Okay. In saying that, with that front row, they're going to run some time here, so I think, you're going to be holding on early.
Yeah, that's right, So, we'll probably try and keep out of that bustle and, get an economical trip.
All right, well, that's race 1, number 9, Hasty Bid. We move to race 2, the Open. Mossdale Terry, he's Mr. Consistency. He lines up here. I think this race on paper could be a real tactical affair. And when you start sort of pulling it apart, it's not an easy race to assess, this one, race 2.
No, it definitely isn't, and especially, like you said, the way the barrier draw is, there's there's speed to my inside, there's speed to the outside, and then you got, if they do come up for air, you got the back line that'll be looking to get into it. So I think it'll be a good race, and like the way they've drawn, it will make it quite interesting.
Do you have an inkling at this point in time how it could play out? Do you think Tim's a Trooper holds? Do you think Free Thinker goes up and applies heavy pressure? Any sort of inkling at this point?
Yeah, look, I'd imagine they'll be pretty positive off the arm with Tim's a Trooper, but you're going to have the one horse there kicking up early too. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, I think.
All right. Are you happy with the way Mossdale Terry is going?
Yeah, look, I think he's going as good as, he probably went off there a couple of runs, but was still around the money. But his last two I've been real happy with. And, look, he's stepping up in grade. But, if he gets a soft trip, he won't disappoint.
Okay, he really does.
No, he does. He's very consistent, and he doesn't win very often, but, he never runs a bad race.
Okay, well, Mossdale Terry starts from gate 3 there. That's the open. What about in race 3? Barrett. He was able to get all the spoils last time out at Redcliffe. Now he steps up, qualifies for the final. He's got slammed with gate 10. That won't be easy.
No, he was lucky he drew one in the heat and got a good trip. But, look, he's just one of those horses. He always sort of hits the line. It's not perfect, the gate, but, he's a genuine horse, so he'll just keep punching around. And, look, he might run into 4th or 5th with a bit of luck. Okay,
tell me this. When he won in that heat at Redcliffe, he looked like he was under pressure a long way out. Is he one of those horses you've just got to work at all the time?
Yeah, he does. To be honest, I haven't really driven him a whole lot, I think Kel's driven him his last few, and before that Jack Chappell drove him a few times, So, but he does seem to have a bit of a flat spot down the back straight, and he does look like he's under pressure, but then he always chimes in the last bit. So, he probably likes the races run upside down a bit, and as long as the last quarter's the slowest, he always sort of hits the line.
Do you think you're going to get that on Saturday night? All the power seems to have the front line, and they look like they could really scoot along here.
Yeah, look, it probably, to be honest, they're probably going to go too quick for him, so it won't really matter what they get home in. They'll probably be too fast, but it does look like it's a good field, that's for sure.
Okay, let's go across later in the program. Still rolling, you were down for it. It's a scratching, so we go to race 7. This is the mare's quali, Loverecious. Now, you partnered this mare earlier in the week at the trials. Did you like what you felt there on Tuesday?
Yeah, she trialled nice, she was there, just there for a blowout, nothing too serious, and I thought she worked home well. So, she's, she's above average filly, and she's done a good job every time she's come up here to Steve. So, I'd expect her to go well Saturday night. Yeah,
she competed in all those good races as a 3-year-old. I find it hard to assess this race because you've got Loverecious who's resuming here. She's first up. And Swell Time is drawn alongside. She comes up from that same sort of Newcastle region. And her form lines look really good.
Yeah, they do look good on paper. So I haven't had a look at any of the replays yet. But drawn probably side by side, I think it helps us. So hopefully we've got the edge on the draw.
Okay, if it's not Saturday night, we'll just keep following Loverecious. She'll win one of these qualies?
Yeah, I think so. She definitely will win one, whether it's this week or the following week. But, like you said, she raced in all the big races last year, never missed one of them, and she was always thereabouts. So, she's above average. Okay, well, that's Loverecious. What about in race number 8, Indy Air Tonight? Now, correct me if I'm wrong here. You haven't driven her under race conditions, but in a trial you have had a feel of her. Yes, correct. Yep. Okay. Now, she's a last start winner. She gives that impression she's a tradesman type. She's not going to win by a huge margin like last week, but she'll get the job done. Yeah, that's it. Sean Michelle have done a good job with her since she's come up. And, she's always around the money. And, I think she's, like you said, a tradesman. She just does her best and never looks flashy, but just does enough. Okay, so with this gate here, gate 3, you've got speed to your inside. Potentially, is it a little awkward, the draw? Yeah, it possibly could be, but could be probably worse if you draw 7, so 3 might be okay. Okay, so you just got to be aggressive and try and get as handy as possible? Yeah, I think so. Okay, let's go across to race number 10. This is a mare's quali again. This is the B division. Boston Bronski, she's been a great improver. Is she up to winning this race? Yeah, look, she's come a long way, and every time she steps out, she improves. So yeah, she's definitely on the way up still. So it is, within her reach.
Are you surprised how far she's come just in the last 6 months?
Yeah, definitely. Even from what she did from 2 to 3, and then till now, she's she hadn't improved meters, she's improved length. So she's definitely come a long way.
Okay, there's no standout in this field. How aggressive can you be at the start here?
Yeah, look, I don't think you have to be too aggressive with her. Like, she seems like she's got a good turn of foot and she can do work. So you probably just got to play it by ear a bit at the start and see what happens to the inside.
Okay, but she's a winning chance?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, the last race, this is the Mares Open. Barrier draws, they play a big role in these Mares Open now. You're driving Sheer Artistry, so you're on the inside of Riley Rainbow, Chinchillas off the second row. How do you want to play this race with Sheer Artistry?
Yeah, look, I think she's first up. She's been away for a few weeks, so you probably got to go back at the start and just look for the fence, Like you said, the barrier draws are everything because there's sort of 1 or 2 standout mares and then there's the rest of us. So, you would have been ideal. Barrier 1 would have been perfect, but from there I think you just got to go back and just drive for luck.
Okay, being a mile, I'm tipping they'll be low flying here.
Yeah, that's right. Surprised it's the last race because it's quite a, they're always good races, these mares races. So, yeah, they'll run some time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Which one are you most looking forward to there on the weekend?
Yeah, probably Loverecious looks, one of my better drives on paper.
Okay, race 7, number 2, Loverecious. We'll put a big circle around her name. As always, Shane, appreciate the time. We'll see you trackside.
No worries. Thanks, mate.
As always, a big thanks to our 2 drivers, this week being Angus, Garrard, Shane Graham. We wish them all the very best of luck. Time now to find a winner, a good thing for this program, and I think we're going to strike early. Race 1, number 5, Lochinvar Jag. He was super impressive last week. Gamers Ned Kelly in defeat. Hopefully he can go one better this Saturday night. He should be better for the run, and I think this is a race that he is well and truly up to taking. So we're going to go early. Race 1, number 5, Lochinvar Jag. That's our best bet. If you are gambling this weekend, please do so responsibly. 11 races, a monster program Saturday night, and we kick off at 5:04. We'll see you trackside.